Hey everybody, welcome to Reading the Green and our golf DFS show. My name is Mike. I'm Kyle Jordan on Tuesday, January 10th. This is take two. We just did about 20 minutes of the show without recording, and so these guys are laughing at me because that's my fault as producer. But means it's going to be better. How are you guys doing now?
It will be better because the wild game is over and I'll pay more attention to you guys.
Yeah, hey, I'm just thankful you realized it then and not at the very end of the recording.
So. We just had barely got to the Sentry recap. So what was missed was all the bullshitting about what we're going to recap here in a second. But so let me start, Kyle. On your whiteboard there, you have our one and done league. We're starting the show with that. We have a one and done. We have 30 entries in. We're super excited. Let's get to 40. We have about 24 hours left once this show goes live. So anything else you'd like to say about one and done?
Yeah, reach out to any of us, our listener Derek, and as we tweeted, we'll get you hooked up with the link. We have a pretty cool site we're doing it through. There's an app, there's everything, email reminders. We're excited. Did do this last year. Let's go. And we mentioned that as us three feel like we're fiddling with our picks for this more than we are more nervous about this than our DFS lineups.
If I do 30 lineups a week, 30 lineups in DFS, and any given one doesn't have to be perfect. But picking one guy, it's like I don't want to miss a cut. And I know that you're going to go through this and you're going to miss cuts, and that's just the way it is, but I don't want to miss a cut. That feels like I should be able to pick a guy every week that's going to make the cut.
I didn't mention this the first time around, but it reminds me. So we have the beauty of one and done. Some of the pods we've listened to out there will say, you don't need necessarily to be an expert to win it. There's people that just kind of pick based on name value of our world rank, and they can do well. Well, we have some people that probably fall into that category in our league. I received a phone call this week and it's like, hey, why is the number one guy on top of the odds board not available to be picked? Like, what do you mean? Tom Kim's in there. Well, because in the app, he shows up as his Korean name, not Tom Kim. DK Sportsbook, it's Tom Kim. So I thought that was funny.
Okay, so there's some fish in the sea here that we can go after. But like you said, it's going to be a bit of a crapshoot. Like, you're going to get some of the casual players that can do well in this. It doesn't take quite as much game theory.
How many weeks? How many weeks are there in the season?
30, I believe.
I think our contest will have 30 events.
So like you don't really need to fish a whole lot, right? Like you've got
we can go. I actually texted in depth about this with somebody. There is a mindset of like you just want to find the 30 people that are going to be in Atlanta and find the best week to use them. You can go that route. But if a guy from back of the field pops and everyone burns Tom Kim that week and he misses the cut and you take Grayson Sigg and he wins it, you're the only guy on him.
But what's Grayson Sigg's world golf like? The odds of him missing the cut are exponentially higher. So like you're going to play the contrarian pick every time and hope that you're right.
This is what I was saying was I don't know if the answer is high ceiling or high floor. And if you have, say you make 30 cuts throughout the year and you only finish you finish 25th every week. I don't know if that is better than winning twice and missing 10 cuts. Like I'm sure you can do the math, but like, and plus it's going to matter this year because of all these elevated events. This is done by money earned. So you're going to want to really pay attention to the huge purses because those are the weeks where a top 10 in a huge purse is just as good as, winning or finishing top 2 or 3 in a smaller event.
To that point, I believe I did the math at like 20th at the PGA is equivalent to finishing 5th here this week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Grayson Sigg's world golf ranking is 190th, Jordan.
About where he belongs.
So please take him this week, Kyle. I double dog dare you.
Is he in the field this week, Jordan, as as a guy that's already done one golf show tonight, an appearance?
Well, 1.5 golf shows tonight.
Yeah, 1.5. Is Grayson Sig is in the field? Is Will Zalatoris in the field?
Grayson Sig is in the field because I can control F on our spreadsheet and find him. I could not do that with Will Zalatoris while I was talking on the Golf Goons podcast or stream.
Okay, so tell us about Golf Goons and as much as you can and why you were on.
No, so Golf Goons is sort of like Rainmakers in DraftKings. Look at this. The second time, it's much smoother here. We can just, correct the mistakes we made last time. So it's you buy, but it's using NFTs. So you're buying NFTs. If you own John Rahm, you can play him in your DraftKings lineup against, there's like 30 to 40 people in it right now. And then you win ETH back, Ethereum. And if you own a guy that actually wins the tournament, you get extra ETH. It's a cool concept. They've got it for all sports. And this group doesn't, but you can play basketball, fantasy football, fantasy hockey, any of them. And it's pretty cool. So they had me on, talk a little bit about our podcast and how we get to our rankings, since all of them are playing DraftKings every week. It was interesting. And I own a
That'd
few.
be cool to, yeah. That'd be cool to do some more collaboration with them in some way. And I guess what are we pulling for you this year? Brian Harmon, Aaron Rye.
I did just put an offer in on an Aaron Rye, seeing if I could get him cheap. Cam Davis, Kurt Kitayama, and Siwoo.
All right.
I bought a bunch of cheap guys.
Yeah. Well,
it might be Brian Harmon week. Let's see.
Let's do it.
All right.
Do it, lefty. Well, the new lefty. The old lefty's gone, right, Kyle?
I don't know who you're talking about. But on the Brian Harmon note, just a little bit of teaser before we get into the Sony. His betting line has moved from 28 to 16 this week on DraftKings. Just wild.
I mean, this is we'll get to that. This course is vastly different than what we just saw last week. But before we talk about the Sentry, I'm drinking Local Drops, which in take one, I explained, is a mashup of the hop recipes for Blackstack's Local 755, their flagship, Barrel Theory's Raindrops, their flagship. They do this sometimes. This is the first time I saw these two together, and it's really good. So I thought with some of the other iterations, I imagined them just dumping the two beers together in a vat and then just canning that. But when they actually just put the recipes together, I think it turns out okay.
I'm intrigued. Wish I was drinking that. Maybe fast forward about 20 days from now, and I will be. But I am doing the NA from Untitled Art tonight, the IIPA, which I guess they're going for a play on words of double IPA. But how do you make a NA double IPA, as Mike asked? I don't know. It's okay. Tastes like hops. No body, but as expected.
I'm going to tell you that
drinking water.
That was much more interesting, Kyle, because you couldn't actually see the can. We couldn't because of how the screen cuts you off. We could see you talking to the can and looking at it while you were.
And Jordan, you're not drinking, but
I brought my favorite beer just to have next to me. Spirit Foul, Fair State, so good.
He's gonna cuddle it when he goes to sleep tonight.
Yes.
Let's get weird. All right. The Sentry Tournament of Champions in Kapalua. It was as difficult to watch as I thought it would be, not because of the golf, but because they weren't digging out of 12 feet of snow like we were. But nonetheless, it did end up getting super exciting. I didn't really watch. I actually took my daughter skiing on Sunday afternoon, so I didn't watch this. And then Kyle's texting me. He's like, "Oh my God, John Rahm!" And then unbelievably, he came back and closed that 6-stroke gap. And yeah, he had to shoot. Was he 9 under or 10 under on Sunday? One of the two. Which he needed, but he also needed Colin to, chip like Kyle for 18 holes, and that helped him close the gap.
Complete meltdown. Like Kyle. The only guy who bogeyed 3 holes in a row all week, Morikawa on the back on Sunday. He lost 2.18 strokes around the green. So, not joking. When he chips like me, blading one out of a bunker over a green, having one roll back down to him. Felt bad for the guy. But so goes in golf and DFS golf and golf betting, because everyone's victory lapping the Morikawa victory, saying on Saturday he's figured out how to putt. Watch out, he's gonna have the best year ever, and then here we are.
Well, we should make some wristbands. HWKC. Every time we go to chip, we think, how would Kyle chip?
Yeah, and just don't do that.
Yeah,
don't
dip your shoulder. Don't look up.
Don't decelerate.
Don't decelerate.
Tell me about Victor Hovland, Kyle. I don't know this take that you got queued up here, because I went heavy on Vic, as I think most of the industry was, and he wasn't. I don't think he was awful, but why are we hating on him?
No, my problem with Vic is I feel like he gets a lot more love and airtime than he deserves. And he's a great player for most regards, but funny enough, around the green again, he implodes 2 holes about every round. Saturday on 4, he was 18 feet, like he was chipping and put it 18 feet short, and then on 5 puts it 18 feet past. And just to be a guy that's, people want to take in the first round of a fantasy golf draft, I just don't know how he can be that guy. He's just not that guy in my eyes. He's not a top 8, top 10 player yet. I'm not saying he can't get there, but I think he's just someone that gets way too more airtime than he deserves.
But then he goes and he wins like 3 events in the off season. I mean, he's got wins, and so
not on American soil.
Not on American soil. I know. I understand that. I don't know what the significance is, other than the fact that, but I mean, he puts it together sometimes. But when the lights are on, and maybe that's it. Maybe it's the events here, are just a little higher profile, and that's what gets him. Could be mental. I don't know. Speaking of mental, go ahead.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a great golfer, obviously, and I just think he's in that next pack. He's not in the upper echelon. I don't think he's even in 1B. He's maybe that part of that 2A pack. I mean, he was 20th tee to green this week, 20th around strokes gained around the green, 23rd on the green. It's just, I think that's who he is for the most part. Yeah, obviously he'll have weeks that pop.
The what I was gonna say about mental was, in order to make a triple bogey on the Plantation, you must have to have a few brain farts. Or in order to shoot a 78, I don't know how some of that stuff happened on a course, this easy.
I was hoping somebody saw JTP's triple, because I didn't, and I have no clue how that happened on a drivable birdie. Like, I think it had the second highest. I think it had the highest birdie rate of any par 4 on the course.
So wait, there's no video of this happening?
Oh, I'm sure it did, but I was hoping one of you happened to see it.
No, I didn't. I did not watch much golf. I just think I mean, stuff happens, but it's just fascinating that it can happen to these guys on a course that's just so forgiving and there's hardly any trouble. But all right. Well, we had our first listener league of the 2023 schedule.
We did? I don't remember what happened in that.
Yeah, let's recap that, because I was focused on the bottom half of the leaderboard. Actually, I think I touched the money for a little bit on Sunday, which was really surprising. But you guys finished 1 and 2, so this has got to be rigged. It's got to be rigged.
Got to be rigged. I told all you guys who I was playing. You guys could have followed me. I don't change it once I tell everyone who I'm playing on here. That's my lineup.
What was the clincher for you, Jordan? Which golfer particularly got it done?
Ooh,
I can tell you.
I'll have to open it up.
So it's funny enough.
I had Rahm.
Your lineup, Jordan, was like pretty RTG chalky. Rahm, Hovland, Im, Wise, Hoagie, Young. Like, those are all guys that we were pretty heavy on.
So Jordan and I had 4 of the 6 same. Our only pivots, I had Scotty and he had Hovland, which Scotty outscored Vic, but only by 8. But then Sung Jae outscored Scott Stallings for you by 14, and that sealed the deal.
There we go. And I did say last week I'm going to try and play less Tom Hoagie this year, and then I played him. and he won me my money.
Yeah, he had a great week.
Even though
Pete
I
Koziak
switched
3.
out, I switched out Hoagie for Power in another one of my lineups, and I was still in the money in that one. I should see how I did.
He was all right. Pete Koziak 3 finished third.
Yeah.
He was in first for, I think, all the way to like halfway through Sunday, and then had a complete implosion. But then looked like he battled back and caught the rest of the money. So that was probably mostly due to Morikawa just doing what he did. So looking forward to, man, I don't know. I need to figure something. I know it's only one event in, but I don't want to just chase you guys all year in the listener league.
It's okay.
Other
You
notes.
can do
it. Yeah, I know you would appreciate that. Other notes on the Sentry. We obviously said John Rahm was our winner. He had 54% of the mentioned share, 72 on the MPI, so he was a model favorite. I was pretty heavy on him. I'm sure you guys were too. That was chalk you had to eat. And again, continues the theme that I guess the good players are just going to play well. So, and you're just going to have to figure out ways to differentiate, but don't fade these guys just because of ownership. You're going to have to figure out other ways to win your contests. Mike McClure, one of our favorite experts, he's been on a tear. And like, I don't know if you guys have really noticed this, but he's hasn't really finished outside of the top 2 or 3 experts in our group for like the last 8 events. And so he offers 2 plays on they run it on CBS Sports and sportsline.com. Offers 2 plays every week as a part of his write-up, and he has been crushing it. So I would say definitely fair to tail McClure and those 2 picks in your lineup cores until we see otherwise. All right.
Yeah, overall it was a good week. Felt it. I mean, smaller field events are always a little different, but very happy with my cash games. No GPPs got crazy, but good start to the season.
So now, most players that are playing both events in Hawaii just took a short little puddle jump from Maui over to Oahu to play over at Waialae Country Club, except for Tom Hoagie. His route was a little longer. He went to Los Angeles to watch this thing called the College Football Playoff, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I enjoyed watching Georgia. They literally were like an NFL team playing like a JV high school team.
You know,
and I got a kick out of that.
A lot of talk about, Tommy hopping over there. But I'm thinking now that what's a 5-hour flight to LA?
Probably about that, yeah.
So he flew there for 5 hours, touchdown, probably had to sit in traffic for about 3 hours to get to the field. Only had to stay at the game for about 40 minutes. And then back to LAX, and he was out. And so, like, hey, he wasn't there that long. Didn't get to celebrate a victory. Didn't get hit a craps table. He's good.
I think that's probably what happened. Honestly, like that thing was over after the first 3 plays. So, not to break down that game, which we didn't really talk about, but I think Tommy's going to be fine this week. So
I'm not worried about the jet lag. That's for sure.
Well, Jordan, yeah, you're on mute. Unless you.
I was coughing. He might be heartbroken. I don't know. He might not. He might get Georgia this week.
The amount of time that TCU fans had to recover from their grief, as long as they were just heartbroken in like halfway through the first quarter, they still had like 3 hours to recover. So,
I mean,
there was nothing heartbreaking about that.
Aren't Brian Harmon and Stetson Bennett about the same height? So I think are we assuming that Brian Harmon is also gonna curb stomp Tom Hoagie this week?
That's interesting. Oh, I didn't think about it. There's quite a few Bulldogs in the field. I wonder if we'll see like a Russell Henley Tom Hoagie Sunday duel, and he'll exact his revenge. Oh, that's a good prediction.
I mean, it didn't go well for Henley last year, so.
And Henley will be beating him by 17 strokes on the first day if it's a duel between the two.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, speaking of last year, so Hideki wins at Waialae last year. If you guys remember, he smoked like a 275-yard 3-wood in the playoff with Henley to like 3 feet. It was and he couldn't even see the shot. It was like straight into the sun. he didn't even see it. He just walks up there and it's 3 feet from the hole, and just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, for some reason, I mean, it was a great shot, but that was one of the most memorable finishes for me last year. Like like Henley, because they played 18 back to back. Henley drove it into the bunker twice in a row,
and it was kind of like, why didn't he hit 3-wood the second time? Yeah, there was.
Yeah, exactly. And then Decky pulls off that shot. Yeah, it was a great finish. I enjoyed the final stretch last year.
Was that the last time we saw Hideki be Hideki? Like, I know he's been hurt a little bit. You and I watched him live at the 3M, hit 13 balls in the water on 18. Like, he's done it. I don't think he's done anything since that.
You got me curious, so I'm gonna look up his best finish since.
All right, I'm gonna cover a couple other things on the tournament, and then you'll come back to that. So 7 of the top 25 OWGR this week. So obviously significantly weaker field to be expected, but still not terrible. And then back to normal format. 144 players in the field this week, top 65 in ties. General strategy. So you couldn't have 2 completely different courses. This is a par 70, 7,000 yards. That is going to be tight. It's going to reward accuracy off the tee. It's going to reward strong iron play. I think it's really interesting how the greens are like mostly flat here, and so bad putters. And this is Rick Gaiman's point on his previous show. But bad putters tend to putt pretty well here because the greens aren't hard, and so you can have a lot of guys that are excellent iron players and just don't putt well normally. They can have a pop week this week because the greens are fairly easy to navigate, and so I think that's going to be kind of the formula that you're looking for at this event.
I agree with that breakdown, Mike. This is wild to kind of go back to. This was a roller coaster that was Hideki's year last year. He withdrew at Valero, 14th of the Masters, T3 at Byron Nelson, 60th at PGA, DQ at Memorial. That's with the paint on his 3-wood or driver.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
he had like, I think he had like the stickers or something. Yeah.
He had whiteout on it. And then comes back to 4th at the US Open and then gets cut. And then 68th and then withdraws. So he's just he had some little bit of form there, but man, it was a roller coaster. So going to the model. At this point in time, I don't think this would surprise anyone. But Mr. Tom Kim is leading the way at salary at 10,500, 55% mention share, and I would expect that to grow as we get the last few trickling in tomorrow, and really strong at the MPI at 89 at this point in time. Right behind him is Corey Connors, 9,600, 45% mention share, 92 MPI. As Mike mentioned, this course can maybe help some of the weaker putters. Corey Connors would be one of those individuals. And actually, according a shout out to Rick Gaiman as well on this, but this is by far his best putting course anywhere on the PGA Tour. He's historically gained strokes here, which is not normally the Corey Connors experience we're used to. For example, last week he lost strokes to the field and strokes gained putting. Right behind Connors, we have 2 coming in at 40% mention share, Cameron Davis and Keith Mitchell. Both a little bit of course for horse type plays there. But I will say Keith Mitchell is really low on the MPI for us at this time. Where do you start lineups this week?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the guy that sticked out to me in that group is Cameron Davis, as we talked about course fit, and I'm sure we'll get to this at some point, but like notably extremely wild off the tee. So I am a little curious on where some of the love is coming from him, because I don't know that this isn't normally where we see Cameron Davis weeks.
I'm not as concerned with the off the tee stuff. You can get away with it a little bit here. I did hear some narrative around the rough's going to be a little longer this year than it has been the last couple. But if you go back and look at who's won here in the past, yes, it's not the bigger hitters, but they also haven't gained much off the tee. Maybe some good drives gained would be a good metric to look at, but you don't necessarily need the accuracy piece. You can get a little offline as long as you miss to the correct side of the fairway.
Fair enough. So what's your core look like this week?
I have to start with Tom Kim. especially in a cash game. I don't see how you can get off him. Last week, strokes gained tee to green, he led the field. He just he needs to make a little bit more putts, and that's a course like this just sets up great for Tom. So I gotta start there from a cash standpoint. After him, I'm actually gonna go to Cameron Davis a little bit, 40% of the mention share. Rick Gaiman did give him a shout out, and also Pat James is on him as well. And then my third play, teased this a little bit earlier in the show, but Grayson Sigg, 20% of the mention share. Spencer Aguilar is on him, who has performed well for us lately. And looking at just how he's been playing, go back to the RSM last time out, T15, Mayakoba T42, Bermud, at the Butterfield Championship, T11, Shriners T44, Sanderson Farm T9. So he hasn't missed a cut. You're saving some salary. I think it could be a good place to go down board a little bit at only 7,300.
All right, good stuff. He's another. I think Grayson Sigg is another Georgia Bulldog that could be our foil to Tom Hoge on Sunday. We got a lot in the field. I'm looking forward to this. I hope this happens.
It's golf. It's golf again.
I know
right?
That would take Tom Hoge making it to the top on Sunday, but we'll see about that. All right. So I'll offer a couple of other thoughts. First of all, Gaiman was all over Taylor Montgomery, and I just want to go back to, if you remember Taylor Montgomery and his fall, this is what it looked like. He went 3rd, T9, T15th, T13th, T10th, T57th at the Houston Open, and then T15th at the RSM. So in those last 8 events or 7 events, he finished outside the top 15 once. Incredible form. Now, obviously, we're 2 months removed from when he last played, and so we'll see how much that carries over the break. But at 9,000, it feels like that's a bit of a steal for a guy that has been playing incredibly well on the PGA Tour. And this is a field that is of similar strength to some of those events in the fall. So I think Montgomery, as a guy that's kind of gets it done in all phases of the game, is a good price at 9,000. I also think Poston is a little too low for 7,700. A guy that got to play in the Sentry Tournament of Champions, has shown the ability to pop, hits the ball, great off the tee, strong iron player, and then can go nuts on the green sometimes. 7,700 feels like he should have been about 8,500. But also getting love from Brandon Gdula and Mike McClure. We just talked about how Mike McClure's 2 picks have been usually rock solid. So I like that correlation there. And then I don't know. I know Hoagie's my guy. I know 9,900 feels insane to pay for Tom Hoge. But he is kicking ass on approach this year, gaining 1.6 strokes per round on his through 6 events. And we're not seeing anybody hit the ball any better than this guy right now. And on a course that rewards that, and I think the next few events are going to reward that. It's like, how do you fade that form? I don't know. I got to figure. I haven't done any builds yet, so I don't know if 9,900 is too much to pay for him in terms of what else I want to do, but it feels like too much.
To your point, Mike, if you go on look at strokes gain data for the tour season here, right? So since we started up in the fall swing, Tom Hoge leads the way in strokes gain approach. 17 measured rounds in here at 1.64 average per round. Mito Pereira is next, and then Billy Horschel and stuff like that from beyond there. But Tom is leading the way.
Yeah. So we'll see. I know Jordan's not playing him this week because that's his New Year's resolution. But Jordan, who would you want to play this week?
But I said that last week, and then I played him, so maybe I will. I don't know. Maybe I'm reversing my own mojo there. Now I'm with you, Kyle. Your 3 picks are all in my current lineup for our RTG. But it was hard with Tom Kim at the top. It was tough. Right, I've got no one over 8,500 other than Tom Kim. Right, and I think I put in Harmon or someone else in the 9,500 range, and then I was picking from the $6,000 range of a bunch of guys I really don't know who they are. So I had to take him out. I took Harmon out with Kim, and then I've got a bunch of guys that could be really good or could easily miss the cut also, right? That's the risk with playing Tom Kim this
I
week.
think the model has a handful of guys in the 7Ks that I think can help with some relief. But if you're going to go Tom Kim plus another 9K player, you're going to have to dig into the 6s. And I'm not seeing much there. Maybe, David Lingmerth, Kevin Yu, Stuart Sink obviously has played well here in the last couple of years. So there maybe are some options, but nobody that's popping in our top 10 that would be a good relief point. So I get that problem.
Yeah, so I'm heavy in the 7,000s or 8,000 down. I've got Putnam at 8, Smalley at 78, Sig at 73, and Kazire at 73. Right, and they're all good model plays at the moment. We'll see where it shakes out tomorrow, but there's value there if our experts are as good as they think they are.
I do like a lot of the 7s, so I think that's a good place to start. But if you are digging in the 6s, there's a lot of folks from the Japanese tour that are joining this week. One in particular would be Kazuki Higa. He's at 6,900. I think there's worse places you could go if you're looking for someone cheap in your lineup.
And then we're going to give one more shout out to my favorite new golfer on the tour, Mr. Cole Hammer. Is playing in this one. I think was he Corn Ferry last year? I was trying to look him up. Yeah, he turned professional last year. Yeah. So Cole Hammer, man, he might be out there laying the wood.
If you're looking for the ultimate course history guy this week, look no further than Webb Simpson. Webb Simpson, guys, 13th in 2015, 2016, 2017, 4th, 3rd, 4th, and then 61st last year, which, given where Webb's game was, that's actually pretty good for him last year. But if you wanna go that angle, it's just sitting there for you.
I thought you might have said Matt Kuchar, who I think is equally as strong at YLI, but I don't know. I'm kind of moving past guys like Kuchar and Simpson. Like eventually, we just got to be done with them.
So for Matt Kuchar, he was 3rd in 15, 13th in 2016. Didn't play for 2 years. Came back in 19 and 1, but then miscut 7th. So
yeah.
All
right. Well, Kyle, why don't we flip over to tiers?
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of these guys, but I think the model helps us the most this week is tier 2. Corey Connors, Brian Harmon, Tom Hoge, Russell Henley, and Jordan Spieth. I think just name alone, Spieth's going to garner a lot of ownership there. Obviously, Hoge, as we've talked about, as well. But going by MPI, I think the place to look would be Connors. We talked quite a bit about him and just his history here and how if he can putt, he has a good chance to win. So 45% mention share, 92 on MPI. I'll be looking at Corey Connors in tier 2.
I back that. Good call. All right. To wrap things up for the Sony Open, we're going to do the name game. And last week's name game was the age game. And Jordan obviously complaining that things are rigged.
Yeah,
because we didn't do any salary scaling, and his garbage team of Hideki, Reeve, and Sahith Theegala finished last by like 40 points. So sorry, Jordan, but we got to close the gap. This is why you get to design the game this week. Kyle ends up edging me by 3 points. But you get to design the game, and we'll see what kind of advantage you can give yourself.
So we've got 3 groups of 3 golfers. You just get to pick a group. You don't get to pick each one of my groupings. And they all are $19,800, $19,900, and $20,000. So unlike Kyle, I strategically planned these, so they're all even. They're all even teams. I know Kyle did it in 5 minutes while we were meeting last week, but I still expect more from.
It was on the fly. And it was trying to find 40-year-olds. Come on.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. It's okay. I'm just bitter, Kyle. I'm bitter. But no. So we are doing 80s white guy names as our picks. We've got Ben's, Michael's, and Ryan's. I'm sure we've got one of them here with us. So, but like, how many Ryans, Michaels, and Bens do you all know? Quite a few.
If I do, and they're all my age.
Yes.
Have you ever heard like a you're like you go to the playground with your kids and you hear a mom call out like, "Hey, Brandon." No, there's no kids named Brandon anymore. Yeah. They're named like Bane and Brexon.
Yes, the names are so bad.
If you want a good sampling of 80 white guys' names, just look at our pool, our one and done pool. The names in there. That's why we comment of when there's a good one, right? So like John, Adam, Ben, Joe, Cody, Derek, Jordan, Justin, Kyle, Michael.
Yeah, two Joes, two Jonathans.
All right. Well, who gets to pick? So who gets to pick first? Do we run it back? Do Jordan pick first then, Kyle, because he was cleaning up the basement?
Yep.
It's risky. I think he'll make a mistake though, and he won't pick the right team.
We don't even know the. Do we know the pods?
Yeah, I'll tell them to you now. So we've got Ben Griffin, Michael Kim, and Ryan Bream.
Ooh.
Is one. Next one is Michael Glickich, Ryan Armour, and Ben Martin. No relation to Casey. And then we've got Ben Taylor, Michael Thompson, and Ryan Moore. Kyle, don't write him down. I'm gonna go with the only name and person that I know is Ben Griffin. So I'm gonna do Ben Griffin, Michael Kim, and Ryan Bream.
See, I knew he would pick the wrong one. I knew it.
No, I like that. There's some folks out there I know that are on a Ben Griffin first round leader this week that would be very happy if you won. So,
well,
yeah. He's also got the highest. He's got the highest. That group has the highest cost and the two lowest. They had to even out because Ben Griffin costs a lot more than anyone else in this.
Well, I want I guess I'm gonna go second because I finished in second. I'm taking the duo of Michael Glickich, Ryan Armour, Ben Martin. I think Ryan Armour has a chance. He's traditionally one of the straightest drivers off on tour, and so I think I like him here to carry my squad to the W this week.
That leaves me the law firm of Taylor, Thompson, and Moore.
Yeah,
it does sound like that. All right.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I'm thinking, I tried to do this by first names, like there'd be a team of Michaels, a team of Bens, and a team of Ryans, but the values were a little too far off. I didn't want it to be unfair like Kyle's.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that.
I think we get the hint that Jordan thought last week was unfair.
I didn't pay any attention. Send us a Slack message at like 1:00 today. Jordan, you got last. It's like, oh, okay.
No, it's all good. Jordan still's got a hefty lead. We still got to figure out what the season winner of this is going to get. Last thing on the Sony, I know we always get to it last, but the betting card, Kyle, you have some really good thoughts here. What are you thinking?
Yeah. So last week update, try to drive some accountability there. I was down 15 units last week. Only hit Tommy Table's top 10, but outside of that, we early in the year we were right on. So my main wavelength this week would be guys that played last week because there's a lot of history with that here. 8 of the last 9 winners played in the Tournament of Champions. And we could say that just, hey, familiarity playing in Hawaii, or maybe they're just better because they were in the Tournament of Champions. But there's some history there. And then looking primarily at guys that played well, tee to green, and just hoping to hit a couple pop putting weeks. Obviously, Tom Kim would be a great place to start, but way too short for my card. There's a Hoagie angle. I don't want to go there. Too light. So I'm starting right below him. Corey Connors, we've already talked about. Got him at 25. if he can putt, he's got a good chance. And if he's going to putt anywhere, this is going to be where it's going to happen, I think. Keegan Bradley at 35. He lost 1.4 strokes to the field putting last week. Just looking for a bounce back. By the way, do you guys see him at all? He's like lost a lot of weight.
I
super
was
skinny now.
I was just gonna say, did he lose more strokes putting or pounds dieting? Like he is like he lost like 30 pounds.
Yeah, and the broadcast was loving to comment on it. So good for him. Good for him. Hopefully that's me come, like April. After that, sticking with that theme, JJ Spawn, 45, not as good approach last week as it was right. I would like, but T degree number strong. And then going down to Mackenzie Hughes at 55. Really strong on Sunday. Great approach. Putted better than he had the rest of the week, as known for those pop putting. So I'm hoping that's a little momentum we can carry into this week. And then going off board a little bit with Emiliano Grillo at 50-1. Just trying to, I like his fit here and some of the form he showed with the putter last year, hoping he can recapture some of that. And just to throw out, if you're looking for some dart throws, some guys I'm not on, but I think, if you want to go down board, place to look. We already talked about Grayson Sigg and Will Gordon, Andrew Putnam, and then seeing quite a bit of steam on Adam Svensson as well, even though he didn't have a great week last week, but fits the whole narrative of being over there playing and fits this course pretty well.
Good stuff. Well, I hope it turns around for you as our resident outright bettor. 2 points. If you are making bets, would you recommend, Kyle, doing them on the green while a tour pro is putting and potentially distracting them?
I love that video. It's just so cool from so many, like that. There's just two dudes that they're by themselves. We're talking about Jordan Spieth, in case you didn't see it, but Kyle Porter tweeted a video as it happened. Spieth's trying to putt, walks off the green, and I'm the words for me if I'm not captioning it correctly, but it's basically along the lines of, hey, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I'd be doing it too, but try to keep it down a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like he could have let it linger just a second, he said that and then he went like fist pumped him so they knew he was joking.
Yeah, he could have really put the pressure like that.
Yeah, those guys would have like pooped their pants.
I loved how he phrased it though. It was like, I love that you're swapping money. He didn't say the word betting, but like swapping bills or something along that. Yeah.
He's like, I would do the same thing if I was there. Yeah.
Cool. But then the PGA Tour made Kyle Porter take it down, which is
man.
a whole nother rant on meteorites and during the game. But yeah.
Yes.
Well, other point, Jordan. I think I didn't realize in the moment, and I meant to say something. You missed. I'm really surprised you missed a huge play that I think is going to be in your core this week.
Not Colehammer.
Oh man, Nick Hardy.
Oh, Swaggy.
Swag's newest brand ambassador, rocking like the sickest, at least in my book, the sickest swag setup you could come up with. I mean, how is he not gonna finish top 10 this week?
He's too distracted. He had Paige Sporanic sent him a couple DMs, and he hasn't
sent him a couple double Ds or DMs.
Yeah, sent some alpha jugs.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was a funny exchange with that moron on Twitter, whatever his name is.
But yeah, this is Mike's favorite year in swag, a favorite event of the year.
It's my favorite week. I mean, I rocked the hibiscus driver as my gamer cover for my driver, and now we got a new one coming out in black and pink and yellow. And Thursday at 11, I'm gonna clear my calendar.
You and the wife both gonna go for this one? Get extras just in case.
We haven't. I'm gonna hit on my trait utility on my NFTs. Like I have to. I got that Hawaiian background, and DM us if you want to know what the hell we're talking about. But in the public drop, yes. I mean, that is gonna go on my bag.
Yes, nice. Only last one I had. Kyle, who's your one and done pick this week?
Grayson Sigg.
Serious?
Keeping it close to the chest. I'm not telling you fools.
You know what's funny is we love to share all these DFS takes, and then I feel like I was thinking about this evening. I was like, we're never going to talk about our one and done picks because we're all competing against each other.
I mean,
to your point though, it's one pick, and I don't. I wouldn't put it past some of our community here that if we put out a one and done pick, they would just tail it just to mess with us.
I know. Well,
I don't have to worry about that. No one will tail any of my shit.
No, definitely not. Well, I think that's a wrap. I think that's a good show. If you want to find our content, follow us on Twitter at RTG Podcast. You can find our videos on YouTube, Reading the Green, on our channel. And of course, any major podcast platform. We do podcasts that release every Wednesday morning, every PGA Tour event this year. And of course, lots of good content throughout the week. Join the One and Done. Reach out to us with questions, feedback. Looking forward to catching up with everyone in a week and talking about the Sony Open. See ya.